Now we are ready. Welcome to Success Paradigms, episode 23 with Emilio Garcia and Mr. Andrew Barker. Hey man,
Howdy.
can you believe it's 23 already?
Uh, no,
No.
not after yesterday. It feels like more of the same. It feels like 2020 got an extension.
Yeah, hold my beer, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, today we're going to do a short one. Just want to welcome Eduardo Medellin from Infinity Management. He's going to tell us a little bit more about what's going on with this new round of PPP and the stimulus and all that stuff, because it's getting very interesting, but also you got to be on your toes if you want to take advantage of it and take advantage lightly, right?
Yeah, use it.
Just use it. Because I know a lot of people last time when I talked to them, they were like, what is that? And it was too late. So, Eduardo, tell us a little bit about what's going on. I know the stimulus package was half as much as last time, if I'm not mistaken. What's going on with PPP? Is it already approved, released, not?
It is
What can you tell?
approved. It is approved and it is released. It's it's really is about the same. What they said is okay. Well, we still have money available, so why stop the programs before if we can just extend them? And for the ones that got a little bit of money before, we'll give them a chance to do a second round. So what basically saying is you still have to qualify under the same rules, which is 500 or fewer employees, and have some kind of disaster, right? So you're having problems, you're closing for business, you are um, being reducing capacity, and any of those things to be able to qualify. So for somebody that didn't take the loan before, there are now three loans. So the previous act had the PPP, which is based on the payroll, and then you had the disaster loan.
Right.
It was forgiven or forgivable, and then the disaster is repayable. Now they came up with a PPP two, which means if you got the PPP before, you can reapply for the PPP, but now you have to tell me a little bit more. It's a little bit more restrictive in the sense that if I'm going to give you this second or possibly third loan, then it's going to have to be to somebody that really qualifies for it. And it's really not much different. It goes instead of 500 and fewer employees, it's 300. So it's targeting smaller companies. And now you have to show that in any given quarter between 2019 and 2020, you drop 25% in revenue only. So that means that quarter one against quarter one, 19 against 20, if you drop by 25%, then you qualify for that.
Oh, okay.
So then you have a little bit more money. The maximums are about the same. The rules are about the same, meaning they're gonna give you 8 weeks of payroll. They're gonna give you about the same amount as they did before, and you have until the end of March to qualify for it. Now, if you never qualified or you didn't want to go for the first one, then you can do the first one. So now, if you never did anything, you have the ability to go PPP, disaster, or PPP2.
Or
Uh,
combined, can you get like 16 weeks of PPP?
well, I mean, if you qualify for both of them, yes.
Okay.
So, but it's going to be very rare that somebody that, you know, is just qualifying right now, just because for whatever reason didn't qualify for the first one, and now he's going to request both of them.
Well, maybe they didn't apply.
Yeah, or maybe they didn't apply for whatever reason. I have a couple of clients that didn't apply because kind of weird. They didn't have their working papers before, so they couldn't apply before. So now they're able to apply. So in that sense, it's good. So the conditions kind of change.
Okay.
And the amount is about the same, is $284 billion. The previous one was $200 billion, so the amount is about the same. $284.5 billion is allocated for that. Before was $200 billion was allocated to that.
Okay.
So it's the same. They give you cost for the 8 weeks, and then you have a different periods and all that. The other big difference is that this one allows you. So if you took the PPP before, what the IRS said is you're going to have to exclude your deductions from the tax return. Or in other words, because you didn't pay for these expenses, you need to get them out of your tax return. Now
Right.
they're saying you can include them in your tax return. So
Oh.
we'll allow you, so it's going to become like a grant that you never report. So that is a big change for a lot of good sized companies, maybe clients of 50 to 100 employees, because that $400,000-$500,000 that they got as PPP, it was going to have to be included as income. So that was going to cost them a significant tax liability. And
Right.
now you don't. So now you can just deduct it the way it was, keep it in your balance sheet, and off you go. So
Cool.
that's for CPAs like Andrew and people out there. That's a big change. That's definitely adds to people being more comfortable about reporting early, if you will.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. I heard a rumor, and with these things, there's always rumors everywhere, that the SASTER loan was also going to be forgivable up to, I think it was 150 grand or something like that. Have you heard anything on that, or?
No, it's different. The 150, if you got a PPP loan of 150,000, up to 150,000,
Right.
you don't have to provide any information. So you just say, hey, yes, the proceeds were used for this, and then they forgive it. But no, the disaster is going to be repayable.
The disaster is still repayable.
Correct. So the disaster is repayable is the forgiveness part of the PPP, that if you are 150 and below, you just have to sign an affidavit that you use the proceeds for that, and then off you go.
Yeah, I actually had to do, and it was less than that, by the way. But I did have to show my checks and receipts and how it had been used for payroll when I got the loan, and most of it was forgiven. I think there was like $1,000 left at the end that they want that I had to repay, but definitely looking into the new PPP, because for people, yes, that's one thing that I wanted to make clear, because a lot of times we do talk about small to medium companies up to 500 or now 300 employees, but then where does a self-employed end up at?
Right.
And I don't know if that changed on this round or not, but on the first round, people like me that are self-employed, solo, one-man show, if you will, I was able to actually apply and get one. I don't know, Andrew, I don't know if you applied and got one, because your business, probably like mine, was damaged because you can't go out there and
Yeah,
meet people.
my experience was fairly unique, as I understand it. And but in my case, I applied for, when it was all started, I was one of the, again, we're in the financial profession, right? So we should be, if it applies to us, and we should be among the first to apply. So it was originally called non-payable grants. I applied for that. And then, as we know, originally it was supposed to be a much higher number, and then so many people applied that instead of expending the funds for that one, they reduced how much they gave everyone. Right? I'm not complaining, because I understand, and so that's where I stopped. Now, what happened in my case is I never applied for anything else after that. And that amount was small. I think it was not even $2,000. And then I get a PPP1 amount deposited in my business middle market advisory account, which just blew my mind because I never applied for it. So what they did is they took my paperwork for the the grant, you know, one of the initial one, the very initial one, without me requesting it, processed it, deposited the money in my account, and then sent me an email saying, please contact us to confirm this.
Huh.
Yep.
That, you're definitely different.
Well, and this has now become one of the criticisms of PPP1. And I've got to say, I think the SBA did a fantastic job. The SBA really moved fast if the SBA had to either go slowly and minimize fraud and move quickly to save the lives of businesses, which saves people jobs, I think they made the right determination. But this has become a criticism now that, well, and I'm not referring to middle market advisory, because again, they had all my paperwork and they contacted me and I coordinated, gave them everything they need. But that they were so quick to help that they also provided some funds to businesses or organizations that really didn't qualify. Again, middle market advisory is not one of those. Middle market advisory does qualify. But it was just fascinating to me. I've never seen the government be that proactive on anything. So hats off to the SBA, Small Business Administration.
Cool. Eduardo, what else do you think is going to be different? Are they still reviewing applications for the forgiveness of the first plan, or is that one, if you didn't apply for forgiveness, then?
The forgiveness is not as important right now because they extended the period to the end of the year. Now they're also saying, I was just reading now that, you know, if you didn't get the maximum at the time on the PPP, you can actually go back and say, well, I didn't get the maximum because the rules changed. Now give me the maximum on the initial PPP instead of looking for the PPP2. So they're still looking to put monies out there, not to really process the paperwork for the forgiveness. And everybody has up to December 31st, 2020 to claim as the period. So, and the rule says the loan actually that you got, because initially you got it as a loan, says you have until 10 months past the period that you want to take. So really the forgiveness can be done by the end of October 2021.
Okay.
So a lot of, and they're making it easier because, you know, SBA is just gonna process all this information. So, you know, they're trying to make it easier because banks and SBA are not equipped to handle this volume. But you know, they're making it easier. They're not giving all the time, so it's only 3 months more that you have to do this. So if you want to do it, I mean, the easiest way is just to call your bank and say, hey, you know, do you have the application for the 2 already there? And most likely they're going to have most of the information from you before. So it's going to be a lot easier and should be a lot faster.
Yeah. So let me ask you something, and to the both of you, and this is conspiracy theory aside. I also read somewhere that IRS was boosting up small business audits by 50% this year. How is that gonna, is it like a catch-22? One is giving it to you this way very easily, but then they're gonna come back on the other side and audit more people more severely? Or do you even think that's actually accurate? Because I read it a couple of places.
Andrew?
Okay, we're gonna take this one first. I haven't read that. Let's remember the federal government of the United States is arguably the biggest organization on the planet, right? So sometimes the left hand and the right hand don't coordinate well with each other. And now we're in a transition period between presidents. So the coordination will be even more erratic. But I don't think so, Emilio. That's not my interpretation. My interpretation would be you've got, as a business owner or a business person or a taxpayer, you have an obligation to do a good job with your accounting and your taxes, right? Carrying them and paying them. So I think that you've already asked very good questions about Emilio. Good job was not done, and Eduardo clarified it on what's deductible, what's not, what's income, and what's not. They played ping pong with it for a while, but now it's clear as Eduardo explained. So I don't think it's, I don't think that's what they're doing. It's certainly not what they're trying to do. Granted, their communication skills are weak, so they might be creating a conversion. Keep in mind, the IRS has been affected by COVID, just like everyone else has. So we've had some guests on the show, and Eduardo, you've been on and talked to this a bit last year. The IRS is just as backlogged as everybody else, if not more. Right. The incoming president will have an impact on how he directs the IRS to prioritize. The outgoing president was, all things being said, was small business and entrepreneur friendly. So the IRS has a challenge in that their systems, the computer systems, or IT, dates back to the 20th century, and I'm not talking about 1999, looking older than that. They've had a really serious issue with turnover. A lot of their most experienced people are retiring or leaving, go back to go to other roles. So how effectively they would be able to implement that, I don't know. But has the IRS already been trending towards being more strict? Yes. That's already started about pre-COVID, where the IRS, and they've stated, the director of the IRS stated this publicly and was on their website at least for a time, that they will be taking enforcement much more seriously. Now, how they've been trying to do that, because they're extremely resource constrained, they've been hiring outside firms to do that for them. So taxpayers should talk to their CPA, their tax attorney, their accounting services firm, such as Eduardo, to just clarify, hey, what's the best way for me? What are my rights as a taxpayer? What's the best way for me administratively to respond to this? Because typically, you're better off not replying to whoever collection agency effectively the IRS is hired. You still have the right to deal with the IRS, which is what you want to do. That's a bit of a long-winded answer, but again, there's a lot of moving parts here when you talk about the SBA.
Yeah, I was just trying to stir the pot a little.
Yeah, what I always say to everyone, and I do mean everyone, is remember, guys, remember politicians, you can raise the tax rates, but if all the businesses have gone under, how much money are you getting from them in taxes?
Yes. And actually, now that I stirred the pot, I think that article, that couple of times that I saw that, I think it was just the title kind of to get attention, as media does. But I think it's more like the IRS is going to do the same number of audits, but the small businesses are going to be 50% less, because there's a lot of businesses that are not going to go through this. They're not going to survive. So the chances of an audit, those might have gone up 50%, but I don't think they're hiring a couple thousand more auditors to go after it, or they're doing this out of malice and trying to get people. I just think it's the media.
To your point, I mean, yeah, if you're a surviving full business in 2022, yeah, mathematically, you're right. Your chance of being audited will have gone up. But 50%, 50, that just sounds, I mean, if it's that bad, the economy will have collapsed, and that'll be the least of any of our worries. And 50% just sounds, yeah, that's the media screaming for attention. That doesn't sound like enough work.
Probably. I'll give you my 2 cents. It's just gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick, not as lengthy, but although the systems are very archaic and are very old, they have improved. So you can put triggers. So the audits are going to come from more automation. than rather doing the special things. So yes, they're archaic, they're old, but they can say, hey, give me the guys that are this, this, and this, and I'm gonna audit them. And I have seen quite a bit of smaller, more specific audits where you don't even see the auditor anymore. You just get a letter created, generated by the machine, and then you say, hey, I need you to get me this information, and somebody's going to contact you. So because of the nature of computers, I do believe that a lot more people are going to get audited, but it's going to be more specific. It's going to be targeted to something that they didn't like in your tax return. It's not that they're going to come in and say, hey, we're here, we're going to stay here for 3 weeks and open it up and do this and that. It's going to be more specific. Hey, I don't like the title of this. Can you show me the details for this? So I do think that they're going to be more audits, but they're going to be shorter audits, and they're going to be more focused. Because remember, one of the things that the IRS wants to do is be very effective, right? If I'm going to send something and I'm going to spend some time, I need to get paid for it.
Yeah.
So, and with COVID, I mean, they can come and audit you, and you don't even have the money. So yes, you get a promise to pay, right? So they don't want that. They just want to be more targeted. And I think as everything, I mean, I've seen as we came back from the COVID, October, November, December, I have seen a lot of audits, a lot of requests for audits, sales tax, sales and use tax,
Well, that's another, yeah, that's a whole nother.
any tax, property tax, IRS, but they're more targeted. They're more, hey, I want this information. So
Yeah.
the more information that we provide, the more we move into the technology, it's going to be easier for them to ask you for this information. And I think that Andrew said, if you're doing things okay, then you shouldn't worry about it. I mean, it just, at some point, it's going to be your time.
Yeah. Eduardo, you just raised some really important, excellent points that listeners and viewers should know. So, yeah, absolutely. If you have yellow flags on your returns, like so things that may not be wrong, but that look unusual statistically, or sort of in plain English weird to the IRS, the probability of you getting a letter from them goes up dramatically. And also, we've seen cases where clients do not get the tax refunds because it's not that the tax return is correct, but there's things there that are unusual, and that unusual meaning not uncommon. That they're not incorrect, but still the IRS can rehold your refund and say, hey, prove these to me.
Right.
You see more of that. It's not an audit, but they're
checking you. They're checking you more.
Yeah.
Be able to check
And
you more. And
I've always said to clients, and I'm not a tax guru per se, but extremely aggressive tax positions, they're not worth it.
No.
There's enough valid ways to do tax strategy to have a reasonable, at least there is now. We'll see what happens when the laws change under the new administration. But aggressive tax strategy is almost never worth it. You're almost guaranteeing an audit because you're raising red flags. The IRS isn't stupid, and now you're entering a sort of gray area. Just take advantage of the legitimate tax saving opportunities that are there in the law that the government wants you to use, because typically they're spurring investment, expenditures on capital, vehicles, and hiring people, right? There's a lot of nonsense out there. Focus on getting the basics right first. And we won't even go into on this call. That's a whole nother show. But we were originally just talking about the IRS federal taxation.
Yeah.
All state and local taxes, brace yourselves, people. If you're a small business owner, you are much more likely to get a notification on your sales tax or your use tax than from the IRS, and even more so if you're in the two states that love that stuff, California, New York. And
okay, we're not going there.
so, but that's another show we can talk to. And
the show was supposed to be positive. There's another round of PPP going out. We can get it.
Well, we get
Most
paid
people, if they were gonna get a stimulus, already had it deposited. So.
Correct. Well, talking about the stimulus, that was the other thing. The stimulus, obviously, they never agreed to the 2,000. They started sending $600 out. But I think they're gonna cap it. They never came up with the actual how we're gonna do it. They just said we're gonna start doing it because the money's allocated and they had to do it by the end of 2020. So this whole thing needed to happen before the end of 2020 because otherwise the funds go back into the own claim. So people that got the 600, there may be a lot more people that are gonna get the 600, never the 2000, and not everybody's gonna get the 600.
Right.
So, it takes a while. It takes a while for them to get them out, but at least they needed to get it, put a name to it, right? Otherwise,
Mhm.
they had to return it. So they should be, and they did the unemployment. They did do the unemployment, so that was good. At least that part was done. So the unemployment and the 600 was done. So
Very cool. All right. Well, I know we wanted to keep this one short, so remember, there is the PPP, there is this stimulus. So if you didn't get one, check with Eduardo or your tax professional, see if you qualify or not. And if
Eduardo
you
is
did
living
get
this
one,
stuff day by day.
what's that?
I'm saying I would recommend Eduardo's a great resource. He's living this day by day, for his existing clients. So
thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, definitely. If anybody wants to give me a call or anything, sure. I mean, send me a text or something. We can talk about it and hopefully we can help you.
Yeah, definitely. So if you got a PPP, go out there and check with your tax person, your banker, because you might be able to get a second round. If you did not, do the same thing and go check because you might have been able to get the first one as well. So don't leave money on the table, especially as a small business. It might be your lifeline. It might be something that helps you sustain and keep the doors open. Anyway, any last remarks from you guys?
yeah, just
Keep positive.
happy 2021 to all our listeners and viewers, and thanks for the ongoing participation.
Yeah, keep positive. We're gonna make it through. Thank you
Yeah,
for
it's
the
going to be a
invite.
good one. 2021 is going to be great. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us, Eduardo. Thank you,
Thank you,
Andrew, for
Eduardo.
being here with me as always. And my name is Emilio Garcia with Andrew Barker for Success Paradigms. We'll see you next
Ciao.
week.
Bye now. Ciao. Thank you. Thank you, Eduardo. Ciao.